think we're in.
Sounds good.
Ladies and gentlemen, and jamming with Mr. E. Today we have with us a truly dynamic person, someone whose voice transcends time, minds, and generations. He's here today to tell us a little bit about himself and also talk a little bit of a window into his process for his art and what lies ahead for him and possibly some advice for you. And that would be Mr. Jessie Kizito. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Ellis. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here to kind of just share a little insight on what my take of finding focus is and just being able to just using your voice as a platform for success and just growth. So it's just an honor to be here with you guys. Thank you once again, Mr. Ellis.
Hey, absolutely. It's a real honor to have you on. And I think maybe I'd like to begin by giving you an opportunity to talk to us a little bit about how you got to the point of where you're at now.
It all started, funny enough, in your English class, just you always giving us that opportunity to just express ourselves through whatever means, and my mean was always poetry and just using my voice and understanding that my voice is the only thing and tool that I really have to just express who I am. And just sitting in the back of the class, always doodling in my little journal and being able to present that without any backlash. And since then, I've gone on to just continuously grow in my poetry, grow in my creative writing. And the song that you just heard, Mr. I was playing with my first single called Find Focus, that kind of helped me shape my idea of what it means to just drown out everything else around you and just put yourself in a position or in a space where everything becomes clear. And the title Find Focus speaks for itself. It just helped me to just go through a lot from middle school to high school to college, post-college, and then me moving out and being on my own, not really knowing where my focus lied. And by writing this song and writing the poetry in it, it just helped me to kind of shape that.
Awesome. So what, if we go back in time in your process, obviously when you graduated high school, you moved on to college, and from there, what brought you to Tennessee of all places?
So Tennessee was never really on my radar. Funny enough, it was kind of my older brother, Rodney, who I believe you had on the podcast recently. He kind of just, amazing man. He kind of just, an opportunity fell in his lap for the Knoxville Fellows. And at the time, Rodney was not able to join it due to the age, because they have an age requirement. And Rodney was a little bit older than that. And he kind of just, pitched it to me. And at the time, I was kind of just, trying to figure out, just graduated. I'm working working in D.C. at a soccer camp because I love working with kids. And, soccer is my favorite sport. So just being able to just utilize that was amazing. And at the time, I wasn't really keen on doing it, but just understanding that you will always be put in positions where you never really know what the outcome might be. But it's always best to just kind of put one foot in the door and just see where it goes. So I took a gamble and it ended up paying out tremendously well, in the sense of I was able to get my master's degree just a year after getting my bachelor's. And the amazingness of just being in a new city, in a newfound environment, with a new sense of people, just helped me to just gain that level of where I wanted to be in life.
Yeah, what would you notice of the differences, obviously coming from the DMV, which we're all here very familiar with and has been a fabric of our lives,
Mm-hmm.
Certainly was a fabric of your life for a very long time. And I think about it, so when your family immigrated here to America, you would have been very young.
Right.
So you would have been about 3?
Yeah, I was shy of turning 4.
Wow, okay. So maybe a process that was harder to, if you were older, maybe you would have felt a little bit more of that. But could you maybe talk about the transition, just moving out to Tennessee, and what a big change that was? Because being a DMV guy and going to a state that maybe is a little more different politically, a little more conservative.
Correct. Yeah, being in the DMV for what was pretty much my entire life, 20 plus years, and just understanding that culture and that dynamic was life-changing in itself, coming from Uganda, where me and my brother were born, and just coming from that to the DMV in itself was just a wake-up call. But then realizing that window for a small stint of time was going to be closing, and I'll be moving to Tennessee. The change was hard. It was difficult trying to assimilate to a whole new dynamic. Obviously, my older brother, you can put him anywhere on this world and he'll just figure it out. But for me, kind of being more reserved and just kind of being more sheltered, it kind of took me a while to branch out. But being with the Fellows, which is a group of 14 individuals, and being one of the only African Americans in that group was definitely difficult. But just seeing the truth of what Southern hospitality really means, and the welcoming and the warmness of just being in the state of Tennessee, which is more conservative, as you just mentioned, just helped me shape and realize that it doesn't matter where you are in the United States, and hopefully around the world, you will be accepted. It's just you will go through challenges to gain that level of acceptance. And, just that's kind of what I've been going through my whole life, is finding that level of acceptance. But once I found my focus in that acceptance, I kind of just drowned out all the negative energy, the negative hate, and just became who I was and made Tennessee my own, like I did the DMV.
Wow, that's awesome. That's quite the transition. I was going to talk about that a little bit too, because, I think back to when you were in 8th grade, you were a little bit more reserved. You were kind of like the silent assassin, where you would come out and just strike with an amazing comment in class. A lot of you was reflecting, taking in. How did you transition to becoming this much more outgoing person that was confident in your vision and really just putting it out there and ready to not just put yourself out there, but also help others put themselves out?
I don't know. I think a lot of that attributes to just the character you embedded in me through our conversation post middle school, post high school, post college, up until now. And one of your other students, who happened to be my sister, because she pretty much taught my whole family, Lynette, definitely helped a lot with that. Me and Lynette have always been the silent but deadly kind of people in our family, and just talking to her and being able to to see where her focus shifted, and being able to see where Chris's focus shifted, and my parents, and realizing that I can't always be confined in this little box of mine, even though it's so comfortable in that box. It's so comfortable, but understanding that I have this powerful voice,